You Forever by Tuesday Lobsang Rampa. Read to you by BlueFriend. September 2016. Lesson 26. We are going to set down now what we term rules for right living. These are completely basic rules which are definitely a must. To them you should add your own rules. First we will set them down, and then we will go over them again, examining them more carefully, so that we may perhaps have some insight into the reasons behind them. Here they are then. 1. Do as you would be done by. 2. Do not judge others. 3. Be punctual in all that you do. 4. Do not argue about religion, nor scoff at the beliefs of others. 5. Keep to your own religion, and show complete tolerance to those who are of the different religion. 6. Refrain from dabbling in magic. 7. Refrain from taking intoxicating drinks and drugs. Shall we have a look at these rules in somewhat greater detail? We said, do as you would be done by. Well, that is good enough, because if you're in possession of your normal faculties, you would not stab yourself in the back, nor would you swindle yourself or overcharge yourself. If you're a normal person, you like to look after yourself as much as possible. You'll be living according to the golden rule if you look after your neighbor as you would yourself. In other words, do as you would be done by. It helps. It works out. This turning the other cheek business works with normal people. If some person cannot accept your purity of thought and motive, then after you have suffered in silence 2 or 3 times at most, you would be well advised to keep free of that person's presence. In the world beyond this life, we cannot meet those who are opposed to us, those with whom we are not in harmony. Unfortunately, we have to meet some pretty horrible people while on earth, but we need not do so from choice, but only from sheer necessity. So, do as you would be done by, and your character will stand you in good stead, and will be as a shining light to all men and to all women. You will be known as a person who does good, as a person who keeps a promise, so that if you are swindled, the swindler will never get any sympathy. In connection with this, it is good to remember that not even the biggest swindlers can take a single cent away from this life. We also say, do not judge others. You may yet be in a similar position to the person whom you have judged or condemned. You know the circumstances relating to your own affairs, but no one else does. Not even the person who is nearest and dearest to you can share the thoughts of your soul. No one, upon this earth at least, can be completely in harmony with another person. Possibly you are married. Possibly you are very happy with your partner, but even so, even in the happiest marriages, sometimes a partner will do something which is completely mystifying to the other. Often it is not even possible to explain one's motives. Let the innocent among you be the first to cast a stone. People in glass houses should not throw stones. These are very good teachings, because no one is completely innocent. If anyone was completely pure, completely innocent, they could not stay on this old earth of ours. So by saying that the innocent only should throw stones, then there is no one to throw stones. We are, quite bluntly, all in very much of a mess down here on earth. People come here to learn things. If they had nothing to learn, they would not come here. They would go to a better place altogether. We all make mistakes. Many of us get blamed for things which we haven't done. Many of us do not get credit for the good that we have done. Does it matter? Later, when we leave this earth, when we leave our training school, we shall find that the standards are very different indeed. The standards will not be in pounds sterling or in dollars, nor in pesos or rupees. We shall then be assessed of our true worth, so do not judge others. Our third rule: be punctual in all you do, may be rather a surprise to you, but it is a logical rule. People arrange to do things. People have their plans, and there is a time and place for everything. In being unpunctual, we may upset the plans and ideas of the other person. In being unpunctual, we may build up some resentment in the person who's been kept waiting so long. And if we build up resentment and frustration, that person may take a different course to that which was originally planned. That means by being unpunctual, we have caused another person to take a course of action not originally planned, and that is our responsibility. Punctuality can be a habit quite as much as can unpunctuality. But punctuality is tidy. It is in the disciplining of the body, of the spirit, and of the soul, too. Punctuality shows respect for oneself, because it means that one is able to keep one's word, and it shows respect for others, because in that case we are punctual because we respect others. Punctuality, then, is a virtue which is well worth cultivating. It is a virtue which increases our own mental and spiritual status. Now, about religion. It is wrong indeed to scoff at another person's religion. You believe this, another person believes that. Does it matter what you call God? God is God, whatever he is called. Can you argue about the two sides of a coin? Unfortunately, throughout the history of mankind, there has been too much bad thought about religion. About religion which should cause only good thought. We repeat, to a certain extent, this rule about religion in rule number 5 because we say that one should keep to one's own religion. It is rarely wise to change. While upon earth we are in midstream, the midstream of life, and it is not wise to change horses midstream. Most of us came to this earth with a certain plan in mind. For most of us, that entailed believing in a certain religion, or in a certain form or branch of religion. And unless there are the strongest of strong reasons, it is unwise to change one's religion. One assimilates religion as one assimilates the language when young. Just as it is always harder to learn a language when one is older, so it is harder to be able to absorb the nuances of a different religion. It is also wrong to try to influence another person to change to a different religion. What may be suitable for you may not be suitable for the other person. Remember Rule 2, and do not judge others. You cannot judge what religion will suit one person unless you can get inside his skin, get inside his mind, and get inside his soul as well. Lacking the ability to do that, it may be considered an unwise thing, indeed, to interfere with, or to weaken, or to scoff at the religious beliefs of others. Just as we should do as we would be done by, we should give full tolerance, full freedom to another person to believe and worship as he or she thinks fit. We should resent interference ourselves, so let us realize that the other person may resent it also. Rule number 6 is refrain from dabbling in magic. That's because many forms of magic are harmful. There are many, many things in occultism which can harm one immensely if one studies without guidance. An astronomer would never gaze at the sun through a high-powered telescope without taking suitable precautions, without, in fact, having some suitable sun filters in front of the lenses. Even the poorest astronomer would know that gazing upon the sun through a high-powered telescope would result in blindness. In much the same way, dabbling in the occult without suitable training, without suitable guidance, can lead to nervous breakdown, or can lead to a whole host of other thoroughly unpleasant symptoms. We are definitely opposed to the practice of taking Eastern yogic exercises and trying to torture a poor Western body into some of those postures. These exercises are designed for the Eastern body, which has been schooled in these postures from the very earliest days, and it can harm one immensely to get oneself in a contorted mess of bruised muscles just because the exercise has a yogic title. Let us study occultism by all means, but let us study it sensibly and with guidance. We do not advise one to commune with the dead or do other remarkable practices of that type. It can be done, of course, and is done every day, but it is a matter which can be thoroughly painful and harmful to both sides unless it is done under the competent supervision of a trained person. Some people study the daily newspaper to see what their horoscope is for that day. Many people, unfortunately, take these forecasts absolutely seriously and model their life upon them. A horoscope is a useless, dangerous thing unless prepared according to exact natal data by a competent astrologer, and the cost of such astrologer services would be high indeed because of the considerable knowledge required and the long, long time which the computations would take. It is not enough to take the sun sign or the moon sign or the color of one's hair or whether one's toes turn up or not. One can do it exactly only if one has the training and the data. So unless you know of an astrologer who has that training and patience and time available, and unless you have an ample supply of money with which to pay for all this time and knowledge, we suggest you do not dabble in astrology. It can cause you harm. Instead, study only that which is pure and innocent, such as, we venture to say, with due modesty, This course, which is, after all, but an exposition of natural laws, laws which relate even to breathing and to walking. Our last rule was, refrain from taking intoxicating drinks or drugs. Well, we should have said enough throughout this course to let you realize the dangers of driving the astral body willy-nilly from the physical body and, as it were, stunning it. Intoxicating drinks harm the soul. They distort the impressions transmitted through the silver cord. They impair the mechanism of the brain, which, we must remember, is but a receiving and transmitting station concerned with the manipulation of the body up on earth and the receipt of knowledge in the world beyond. Drugs are even worse, for drugs are even more habit-forming. If one is going to take drugs, then one is, in effect, abandoning all that one aspires to in this life, and in giving way to the false blandishments of intoxicating drinks and drugs, one may be paving the way for life after life upon earth, until one has thoroughly worked out the karma which that silly habit has built up for us. All life should be ordered. All life should have discipline. A religious belief, if one adheres to one's belief, is a useful form of spiritual discipline. One sees nowadays teenage gangs in all the cities of the world. Through World War II, home ties were weakened. Perhaps the father went to the war and the mother worked in a factory, with the result that young, impressionable children played on the streets without any adult supervision. And these young, impressionable children banded together into gangs. They made their own form of discipline, the discipline of gangsterdom. We believe that until the discipline of the love of parents and the discipline of religion can take over, then teenage crime will continue and increase. If we have mental discipline, we may be able to set some sort of example to those who have not, for remember, discipline is essential. It is discipline that distinguishes a highly trained army from a disorganized rabble. End of Lesson 26. You Forever by Tuesday Labsang Rampa. Read to you by BlueFriend, September 2016. Lesson 27. We are going to bring our old friend, the subconscious, to the forefront, because the relationship between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind offers an explanation as to why hypnotism works. We really are two people in one. One of these people is a little person, a ninth the size of the other. An active little person who likes to interfere, likes to be bossy, likes to control. The other person, the subconscious, is likened to an amiable giant without reasoning power, for the conscious mind has reason and logic, but no memory. The subconscious mind cannot use reason and has no logic, but it is the seat of memory. Everything that has ever happened to a person, even things that happened before birth, are retained within the subconscious. And under suitable types of hypnosis, that memory can be released for consideration by others. One might say, for the purpose of this illustration, that the body as a whole represents a very large library. In the front office, or in the front desk, we have a librarian. Her chief virtue is that, while she may not know much about different subjects, she will know instantly the books which contain the desired information. She is adept at consulting filing cards and then producing the book with desired knowledge. People are like that. The conscious mind has the ability to reason, often incorrectly reasoning too, and it is able to exercise a form of logic, but it has no memory. Its virtue is that when trained it can stir up the subconscious so that the latter provides information stored in the memory cells. Between the subconscious mind and the conscious mind there is what we might call a screen, which effectively blocks off all information from the conscious mind. It means that the conscious mind cannot just probe around in the subconscious at any time. This, of course, is absolutely necessary because one would eventually contaminate the other. We stated that the subconscious had memory but no reason. It will be clear that if the memory could be combined with reason, then some facets of information would be distorted, because the subconscious, with the power of reasoning, might in effect say, "Oh, that is ridiculous. That can't possibly be. I must have misread the facts. Let me alter my memory bank." So it is that the subconscious is without reason, and the conscious is without memory. We have two rules to remember. One is, the subconscious mind is without reason, therefore it can only act upon suggestion as given to it. It can only retain in the memory any statement, true or untrue, which is given to it. It's not able to evaluate whether that information is true or false. And rule number 2 is, the conscious mind can only concentrate upon one idea at a time. You will readily appreciate that all the time we are receiving impressions, forming opinions, seeing things, hearing things, touching things, and if the subconscious mind were unprotected, then everything would pour in, and we would have our memories cluttered with quite useless information, frequently incorrect information. Between the subconscious and the conscious minds, there is a screen which can block off those matters which have to be considered by the conscious before they can be passed on to the subconscious for filing. The conscious mind, then, limited to considering one thought at a time, selects the thought which appears to be the most important, examines the thought, accepts or rejects it in the light of reason or logic. You may complain that this cannot possibly be so because you personally can think of 2 or 3 things at once. But that is not the case. Thought is very quick indeed, and it is an established fact that thought changes even faster than a lightning flash. So although you may consciously think that you have 2 or 3 thoughts at once, careful examination by scientists prove that only one thought can occupy the attention at one time. We should make it clear that, as we've already stated, the memory banks of the subconscious mind hold a knowledge of everything that has ever happened to that particular body. This conscious threshold or screen does not prevent the entry of information. Everything pours into the subconscious memory, but information which has to be scrutinized by the logical, reasoning brain, is held back until such time as it has been evaluated. Let us see then how hypnotism works. The subconscious mind has no power of discrimination, no power of reasoning, no power of logic. So if we force a suggestion through the screen, which normally exists between the conscious and the subconscious, we can cause the subconscious to behave as we want it to. If we concentrate conscious attention upon a single thought, then we increase the suggestibility. If we put the thought to a person that they will be hypnotized, and they believe that they will be hypnotized, then they will be, because that screen is then lowered. Many people boast that they can't be hypnotized, but they boast about it rather too loudly. In denying their susceptibility to hypnosis, they are merely intensifying their susceptibility, because again, in any battle between the imagination and the will, the imagination always wins. People may will themselves not to be hypnotized. It is then as though the imagination rises up in wrath and says, "You jolly well will be hypnotized." And the subject goes under almost before he knows that anything has happened. Of course, you know how one becomes hypnotized. It will not harm us, though, to go into it again. The first thing to do is to have some method of attracting a person's attention, so that the conscious mind, which can hold only one thought at a time, is held captive, and then suggestions can creep in to the subconscious. Usually, the hypnotist has a bright button or a piece of glass or some other gimmick, and he asks his subjects to consciously focus the attention upon that glittering object, and to focus the attention unwaveringly upon that object. The whole purpose of this, we repeat, is to so engage the conscious mind that it cannot perceive that certain workings are taking place behind its back. The hypnotist will hold an object just above the eye level, because in looking up to that level, a person's eyes are put in an unnatural position of strain. It strains the muscles of the eyes and the eyelids as well, and the eyelid muscles are quite definitely the weakest muscles in the human body, and they tire more quickly than does any other muscle. A few seconds and the eyes tire, they begin to water. It is a simple matter, then, for the hypnotist to state that the eyes are tired and that the person wants to sleep. Of course, he wants to close his eyes because the hypnotist has just thoroughly tired those muscles. Deadly monotony in repeating that the eyes are tired bores the subject and knocks down the guard, or the awareness, of the subject. Frankly, he's thoroughly bored with the whole affair and feels that he would gladly sleep, to have something different to do. When this has been done for a few times, the suggestibility of the subject has been increased. That is, he's forming the habit of becoming hypnotically influenced. So, when a person, the hypnotist, says the subject's eyes are becoming tired, the subject accepts that without the slightest hesitation, because previous experiences have proved that the eyes did become tired under those conditions. Thus, the subject places more and more faith in the statements of the hypnotist. The subconscious mind is quite uncritical. It is not able to discriminate. So if the conscious mind can accept the proposition that eyes become tired when the hypnotist says so, then the subconscious will also agree that there shall be no pain when the hypnotist says so. In that case, a hypnotist who knows his job can see that a woman has completely painless childbirth, or can see a patient have a dental extraction without any pain or any discomfort even. It's a simple matter indeed, and it needs merely the slightest practice. The whole thing then is that a person who is going to be hypnotized has accepted the statements of the hypnotist. In other words, the subject was told that his eyes were becoming tired. His own experience proved to him that his eyes were becoming tired. He was told by the hypnotist that he would feel much ease if he closed his eyes, and when he did close his eyes, he did feel ease. A hypnotist always has to make sure that his statements are thoroughly believed by the person being hypnotized. It's useless to tell a person that he's standing up when obviously he's lying down. Most hypnotists only tell the subject of a certain thing after the thing has been proved. For instance, the hypnotist may tell the subject to stretch out his arm at full length. He will repeat it in a monotonous voice for some time, and then, when he sees that the subject's arm is becoming tired, he will say, "Your arm is becoming tired. Your arm is feeling heavy. Your arm is becoming tired." The subject can readily agree to that remark because it's self-evident that he is becoming tired. But in the light trance state, he's not in a position to say to the hypnotist, "Well, you idiot, of course it's tired, as I'm keeping it out like this." Instead, he just believes that the hypnotist has some certain power, some certain ability, which can make him do whatever is ordered. In the future, it will be that doctors and surgeons will resort more and more to hypnotic methods because there is no after effect with hypnotism. Nothing painful, nothing at all disturbing. Hypnotism is natural, and almost every person is susceptible to hypnotic commands. The more a person asserts that he or she cannot be hypnotized, the more easy it is to hypnotize that person. We are not concerned with hypnotizing other people, however, because, unless in highly trained hands, it can be a highly dangerous thing. We are concerned in helping you to hypnotize yourself, because if you hypnotize yourself, you can get away from bad habits. You can cure yourself of weaknesses. You can raise your temperature in cold weather and do a lot of useful things like that. We're not going to teach you how to hypnotize others because we consider it to be dangerous unless one has years of experience. There are certain factors about hypnotism which we are going to mention, though, and in the next lesson we'll deal with self or auto-hypnotism. It is said in the West that no person can be hypnotized instantly. Well, that is incorrect. Any person can be hypnotized instantly by one who's been trained in certain Eastern methods. Fortunately, few Westerners have been so trained. It is also stated that no person can be hypnotized and compelled to do a thing in opposition to their own moral code. Here again, that is false. It is absolutely false. One could not go up to a righteous, good-living man, hypnotize him, and say, "Now you go out and rob a bank." The subject wouldn't do it. He would just wake up instead. But a skillful hypnotist can so phrase his commands and his words that the hypnotized subject believes that he's taking part in a play or a game. It's possible, for instance, for a hypnotist to do very wrong things to another person. All he has to do is, by suitable chosen words and suggestions, persuade the subject that he is playing. We do not propose to deal any more with this particular aspect of it, because hypnotism is truly a shockingly dangerous thing in unscrupulous hands and in untrained hands. We suggest that you have nothing whatsoever to do with hypnotism unless it be treatment under the care of a reputable, highly experienced, highly trained medical practitioner. In dealing with auto or self-hypnotism, if you follow our instructions, you cannot harm yourself, and you cannot harm anyone else. On the contrary, you can do a lot of good for yourself, and perhaps for other people too. End of Lesson 27. You Forever by Tuesday Lobsang Rampa. Read to you by BlueFriend, September 2016. Lesson 28. In the last lesson, and indeed throughout this course, we have seen how we are really two people in one being the subconscious and the other being the conscious. It is possible to make one work for the other instead of being as two separate entities, almost entirely self-contained and separate. The subconscious entity is the storer of all knowledge. One might say the custodian of the records, or the head librarian. The subconscious entity can be likened to a person who never goes out, never does anything except store knowledge and operate things through giving orders to others. The conscious mind, on the other hand, can be likened to a person of no memory or of very little memory and of very little training. The person is active, jumpy, hopping from one thing to another, and only using the subconscious as a means of gaining information. Unfortunately or otherwise, the subconscious normally is not so accessible for all types of knowledge. Most people, for example, cannot remember the time they were born, yet all that is stored in the subconscious. It is even possible, by suitable means, to take a hypnotized person back to the time before they were born, and although it is a most interesting experience, it is not one that we intend to deal with at length here. We will tell you, as a matter of interest, that it is possible to hypnotize a person over a series of interviews and to take that person back through successive years of life so that we can go to the time of birth and to the time beyond birth. We can even take a person to the time when they were planning to come down to the earth again. But our purpose in this lesson is to see how we may hypnotize ourselves. It is common knowledge that anyone knows that one person can be hypnotized by another, but in this case, we want to hypnotize ourselves. For many people have a distinct aversion to placing oneself at what is quite literally the mercy of another person, because, although in theory a pure, high-minded person cannot harm the one who is being hypnotized, we can claim that, except in exceptional circumstances, certain transference takes place. A person who has been hypnotized by another person is always more susceptible to the hypnotic commands of that person. For that reason, we personally do not recommend hypnosis. We feel that before it can be perfected for medical use, there should be additional safeguards. For example, no one medical practitioner should be able to hypnotize a person. There should always be 2 medical practitioners present. We would also like to see a law whereby a person who hypnotizes another has himself to be hypnotized and compulsion implanted within him so that he cannot do anything which would harm the person he's going to hypnotize. And we would like the practitioner to undergo hypnosis himself about every 3 years in order to have that safeguard to the patient renewed. Otherwise, the patient is truly at the mercy of the practitioner. Although we would agree that the great majority of practitioners are entirely honorable and entirely ethical, yet one does come across the occasional black sheep who, in this work, is very, very black indeed. Now let us go on with this business of hypnotizing oneself. If you study this lesson properly, you will indeed have a key which will enable you to unlock unsuspected powers and abilities within you. If you do not study this properly, then it will just be meaningless babble of words and you'll have wasted your time. We suggest that you go to your bedroom and pull the curtains to exclude the light, but above your eyes fix a very small light, the nightlight type. Extinguish all lights except that one. That light must be so arranged so that your eyes look slightly upwards, higher than a straight look ahead. Turn out all the lights except that little neon light, and then stretch out as comfortably as possible upon your bed. For a few moments, do nothing except breathe as evenly as you can and just let your thoughts wander. Then, after a minute or 2 of idle thought wandering, pull yourself together and decide quite firmly that you're going to relax. Tell yourself that you're going to relax every muscle in your body. Think of your toes. Dwell upon your toes. It is more convenient to dwell upon the right toe first. Imagine that the whole of your body is a great city. Imagine that you have little people occupying every cell of your body. It is these little people who work your muscles and your tendons, and who attend to the needs of the cells that make you tingle with life. But now you want to relax. You do not want all these little people bumbling about, distracting you with a twitch here or a twitch there. Concentrate first on your right toes. Tell the little people in the right toes to start marching. Let them march out of your toes into your foot, then up to your instep, along to your ankle. Let them move up to the calf of your leg, along to the knee. Behind them, the toes of your right foot will be limp, lifeless, completely relaxed, because there is no one and nothing there to cause feeling. All these little people are marching away, marching up your leg. Your right calf is now quite relaxed. There is no feeling in it. Your right leg, in fact, is quite heavy, lifeless, numb, without feeling, and so quite relaxed. March the little people all the way up to your right eye, and make sure that the policemen on duty there put barriers across the road so that none may slip back. Your right leg then, from toes to thigh, is completely, utterly relaxed. Wait a moment, make sure that that is so. Then move to the left leg. Imagine, if you like, that a factory whistle has blown, and all the little people are hurrying away from work, leaving their machines and going home to their leisure. Imagine that they've had a good cooked supper ready. Hurry them away from the toes of your left leg. Hurry them along, up the instep, up the ankle, along the calf, into the knee. Behind them, the left toes and foot and lower leg will be completely relaxed, completely heavy, as if not belonging to you anymore. Get those people moving. Get them up beyond your knee. Get them up to the thigh. Now, as before, in the case of the right leg, in the left leg, make your imaginary policeman put up barriers so that no one may slip back. Is your left leg completely relaxed? Make sure. If it is not completely relaxed, order those little people out of the way again, so you are left with the two legs as an empty factory with everyone gone home, with not even maintenance men left there to cause disturbance or noise. Your legs are relaxed. Now do the same with your right hand and arm, and then your left hand and arm. Send all the workers away. Send them off. Get them moving. Like a flock of sheep gets moving in a hurry when a really good sheepdog gets after them. Your purpose is to drive these little people away from your fingers, away from the palm of your hand, from your wrist, up your forearm, past the elbow. Get them moving. Clear them out. You want to relax, because if you can relax and remain free from all distractions, remain free from all internal buzzes and ticks and clicks, you can unlock your subconscious, and then you can be the possessor of powers and knowledge not normally given to man. You have to play your part. You have to get those little people out of your limbs, get them moving, get them away from your body, and relax. Having gotten your arms and legs completely, utterly relaxed, and left like an empty housing estate when everyone has gone off to the local test match, do the same with your body. Your hips, your back, your stomach and chest, everything. These little people, they're a nuisance to you now. Granted, they're necessary to keep life within you, but on this occasion, you want them to take a holiday away from you. So move them off, march them up along the silver cord, get them away from your body, get yourself free from their irritating influence. Then you will be completely and utterly relaxed, and you will know greater ease within you than you ever thought possible. With all the little people crowded onto your silver cord, and with your body empty, drained of little people, make sure that you have guardians at the end of the silver cord, so that none of these little people may slip back and cause a disturbance. Take a deep breath. Make sure it's a slow, deep, satisfying breath. Hold it for a few seconds and then release it slowly, taking a few more seconds. There should be no strain in this. It should be easy. It should be comfortable and natural. Do it again. Take a deep breath, a deep, slow, satisfying breath. Hold it for a few seconds, and you'll hear your heart going bump, bump, bump inside your ears. Then release it. Release your breath slowly, slowly, slowly. Tell yourself that your body is completely relaxed, that you feel pleasantly limp and at ease. Tell yourself that every muscle within you is becoming relaxed. Your neck muscles are slack. There's no tension within you. There's only ease, comfort, and relaxation within you. Your head is becoming heavy. The muscles in your face trouble you no longer. There is no tension. You are relaxed and comfortable. Idly contemplate your toes, your knees, your hips. Tell yourself how pleasant it is to feel so relaxed, to feel that there is no tension, to feel that there's nothing pulling or twitching within you. Go higher. Feel that there is no tension within your body anywhere. No tension within your arms, within your chest, nor within your head. You are calmly resting, fully at ease, and every part, every muscle, every nerve, every tissue within your body is completely and utterly relaxed. You must be sure that you are completely and utterly relaxed before doing anything further in the matter of self-hypnosis, because it is only the first or second time which will cause you any shadow of trouble. After you have done it once or twice, it will appear to be so natural, so easy, that you will wonder why you've never done this before. Take particular care this first or second time. Go slowly at it. There is no need to rush. You have lived all your life so far without it, so for a few more hours it will not matter. Take it easy. Do not strain. Do not try too hard. For if you try too hard, you will make it easy for doubts and hesitations and muscular fatigue to set in. If you find that any particular part of your body is not relaxed, then devote special attention to it. Imagine that you have some particular conscientious workers in that part of the body, and they want to finish some specific job on hand before leaving at the end of the day. Well, send them off. No job is so important as this upon which you are now engaged. It is essential that you relax for the good of yourself and for the good of your workers. Now, if you are quite sure that you are relaxed in all parts of your body, raise your eyes so that you can see that little neon night light flickering away somewhere just above your head. Raise your eyes so that there is a slight strain on the eyes and on the eyelids as you gaze at the light. Now keep looking at that night light. It's a nice, pleasant little glow. It should make you feel drowsy. Tell yourself that you want to get your eyelids to close when you have counted 10. So count. 1, 2, 3. My eyes are becoming tired. 4. Yes, I am becoming drowsy. 5. I can hardly keep my eyes open. And so on until you get to 9. 9. My eyes are closing tightly. 10. My eyes will stay open no longer. They are shut. The point of this is that you want to set up a definite, conditioned reflex so that in future auto-hypnotic sessions you will have no difficulty at all. You will not have to waste time with all this relaxing. All you'll have to do is count, and then you will go off to sleep into the hypnotic state, and that's the aim for which you now must seek to attain. Now, certain people may have a few doubts, and their eyes will not close the first time at the count of 10. There's no need to worry about this, because if your eyes will not close willingly, then close them deliberately, as though you were in fact in the hypnotic state. If you do this deliberately, you'll be laying a foundation for that conditioned reflex, And that is a thing which is quite essential. Again, you want to say something like this. The actual words don't matter. This is just to give you some idea which you can make your own formula with. When I have counted up to 10, my eyelids will become very, very heavy, and my eyes will become tired. I will have to close my eyes, and nothing will keep them open after I've reached that count of 10. The moment I do let my eyes close, I shall fall into a state of complete hypnosis. I shall be fully conscious, and I will hear and know everything that happens, and I will be able to order my subconscious mind as I want to. Then you count, as we told you before, 1, 2, my eyelids are becoming very heavy, my eyes are becoming tired. 3, I have difficulty in keeping my eyes open. Up to 9, I cannot keep my eyes open. And 10, my eyes are closed, and I am in a self-hypnotic state. We feel that we should end this lesson here because it is such an ample time in which to practice. If we gave more in this lesson, you might be inclined to read too much at one time and to take in too little at one time. So, will you study this again and again? We assure you repeatedly that if you will study, if you will assimilate this and practice this, you will have truly wonderful results. End of Lesson 28. You Forever by Tuesday Lobsang Rampa. Read to you by BlueFriend, September 2016. Lesson 29. In our last lesson, we dealt with the method of getting ourselves into the trance state. Now we have to practice that several times. We can make it much easier for ourselves if we really practice so that we can get into the trance state easily without having to make hard labor of it, because the whole point of this is to save one hard labor. Let us also look at the reason for this. You want to hypnotize yourself so that you can eliminate certain faults, so that you may strengthen certain virtues and certain abilities. Now, what are those faults? What are those abilities? You must be able to focus the faults and the virtues clearly. You have to be able to really conjure up a picture of yourself as you want to be. Are you weak-willed? Then picture yourself exactly as you want yourself to be, with a strong will and a dominant personality, able to get over your points, able to sway men and women in the way that you want to sway them. Keep on thinking of this new you. Keep the picture of this you steadily before you in much the same way as an actor, a star, actually lives the part he's going to play. You must use your full powers of visualization. The more firmly you can visualize yourself as you want to be, then the more quickly you can attain your objective. Keep on practicing, putting yourself in a trance, but always make sure that you are practicing in a quiet, darkened room. There is no danger in any of this. We stress that you should make sure that you're not interrupted, because any interruption or draft of cold air, for instance, will cause you to wake up, cause you to snap out of that trance in a hurry. There is no danger, we repeat. It is definitely not possible for you to hypnotize yourself and fail to come out of the trance. To reassure you, let us take a typical case. The patient has had a lot of practice. He goes to his darkened room, switches on the little neon light just above the eyebrow level, and composes himself comfortably upon his bed or his couch. For some moments he works at getting the body relaxed, free from stresses and strains. Soon he feels a wonderful sensation stealing over him, as if all the weight of the body, all the cares of the body are dropping off, and he is about to enter a new life. He relaxes more and more, leisurely reaching out with his mind to see if there's any muscle under tension, to see if there's any twitch, any ache, any strain anywhere. Satisfied that he is completely relaxed, he gazes steadily at the little neon light. His eyes are not pointed straight ahead, but are inclined upwards somewhat, toward his eyebrows. Soon his eyelids begin to feel heavy. They flutter a little and then close, only for a second or two. They flutter open again. There's some moisture. His eyes are watering. They flutter and tremble and close again. Once more they open, with difficulty this time, for the eyes are tired, the lids are heavy, and the person is almost in deep trance. Within a second or so the lids close, and this time they stay tightly closed. The body relaxes even more. The breathing becomes shallow. The patient, or the subject, call him what you will, is in the trance stage. Now, let us leave him for a moment. What he is doing in that trance is of no concern of ours, because we can go into a trance ourselves and have our own experiences. Let us leave him in the trance stage until he has completed that for which he went into the trance. He was doing an experiment, it seems, to see how deeply he could hypnotize himself, to see how firmly he could stay asleep. He deliberately tried to set aside one of the provisions of nature, because, he told himself, if he was not going to wake up. Minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes pass. The breathing changes, and the subject is no longer in a trance, but is in a sound sleep. After half an hour or so, he awakens, feeling wondrously refreshed, more refreshed indeed than after a complete night's sleep. You cannot fail to awaken out of a trance. Nature will not allow it. The subconscious is like a rather dim giant, a giant with dim intellect. For a time you can persuade him anything you like, but after a time it dawns upon this dim giant that he is having his leg pulled, and he snaps out of the hypnotic state. We repeat again that you cannot put yourself to sleep in any way which would cause you harm or even discomfort. You are utterly safe, because you will have hypnotized yourself and not be at the mercy of another person's suggestions. We said before that a draught of cold air would awaken a person, and that is so. No matter how deep the trance, if there is a change of temperature, or anything which might possibly in any way ever harm the body, the trance passes. So it is that if you are in a trance, and someone in the house opens a door or a window, so that a draught of air comes upon you, perhaps under the door or through the keyhole, you will be awakened safely, painlessly, and then you will have the trouble of starting all over again. That is why you should avoid all draughts and disturbances. At all times, you will have to stress the virtues that you want to acquire. You will have to stress that you are getting rid of the things that you do not admire, and for some days as you walk about, you will have to actively visualize the abilities which you do want. You will tell yourself time after time throughout the day that at such and such a time, preferably at night, you're going to hypnotize yourself, and each time you go into the trance, the desired virtues will appear more strongly in you. As you go into your trance, repeat within your mind that which you desire. Just a simple, perhaps silly little illustration. Let us say that a man stoops, perhaps because he's too lazy to stand upright. Let him say repeatedly, I will stand upright. I will stand upright. I will stand upright. The point is, again, that you must repeat this quickly, time after time, with no break in between, because if you do permit a break, your friendly subconscious might come in and say, oh, you never tell the truth, you stoop like anything. If you repeat it without giving a break, friend subconscious hasn't got a chance. He becomes overwhelmed by the weight of words and soon believes that you stand straight. If he does believe that, your muscles will tighten and you will stand straight just as you want. Do you smoke too much, drink too much? It's bad for the health if carried to excess, you know. Why not use hypnotism to cure yourself? To save your pocketbook from the constant depletion of what are, after all, rather childish habits. You have only to convince your subconscious that you dislike smoking, and you will stop smoking without a single pang, without a single thought of smoking. People cannot give up smoking. It's a habit which is extremely hard to break. No doubt you've heard that time after time. A smoker cannot give up his or her pipe or cigarette. Everyone tells you so. Advertisements in the paper bring to your attention various so-called remedies for stopping smoking, stopping this or stopping that. Does it not occur to you that all this is in itself a form of hypnosis? You cannot stop smoking because you believe what you've been told by other people and by the advertisements to the effect that to stop smoking is almost impossible. Turn that hypnotism to your own use. You are different from the common herd. You have a strong character. You are dominant. You can cure yourself of smoking or drinking or whatever it is you desire to cure. Just as hypnotism, unconscious hypnotism, made you believe that you couldn't break the smoking habit, so, when you're aware of this, your conscious hypnotism can make it so that you never touch another cigarette. A word of warning, though, or might it even be called friendly advice? Are you sure you want to give up smoking? Are you sure you want to give up drinking or always being late for appointments? You cannot do anything until you are sure. You must be certain that you want to give up smoking or that you want to do this or that. It is not enough to be a very weak man and say, oh, I wish I could give up smoking. Let me tell myself that I will. Again and again, until it sinks into your subconscious, you can only do that which you really want to do, so that if you more or less dare yourself not to give up smoking, then you will not give up smoking. You might even smoke more. Examine yourself closely. What do you want to do really? There is no one about, no one looking over your shoulder, no one peering into your mind. Do you really want to give up smoking? Or do you prefer to go on smoking? And is your statement that you want to give up just so much waste of words? Once you are completely convinced that you do want a thing, you can have it. Do not blame hypnotism or anything but yourself if you fail to get what you want, because if you do fail, then it means this and only this. Failure means that you were not really strong in your resolution to do this or not do that. By self-hypnosis, you can cure yourself of those things which some people refer to as bad habits. Unfortunately, we've never been able to discover what these bad habits were, so we can shed no more light on that particular subject. We will consider bad habits to include baiting your wife, or throwing the iron at your husband, or kicking the dog, swearing at someone without reason, or getting drunk. And all these things can be cured so very easily, provided one definitely wants to. Let yourself relax a few times. Take advantage of freedom from inner tension to build up your own nervous energy. You can do so much to improve your health if you will only read and reread this lesson and the one before, and practice, practice, practice. Even the greatest musicians practice scales and notes hour after hour, day after day. That is why they are great musicians. You can be a great self-hypnotist if you do as we say. So, practice. End of Lesson 29. You Forever by Tuesday Lobsang Rampa. Read to you by BlueFriend. September 2016. Lesson 30. Many people have the idea, a most mistaken idea, that there is something wrong with work. Many civilizations are divided into white-collar workers and those who get their hands dirty. It's a form of snobbery which should be eradicated because it turns brother against brother and race against race. Work, no matter whether it be brain work or manual work, is ennobling to those who do it with a clear conscience and without a mistaken sense of shame. In some countries it's considered to be a disgrace if the lady of the house lifts her hands to do any form of work. It is thought that she should sit about and look pretty, and perhaps give a few orders now and then to show that she is the lady of the house. In old China, in days long gone, the upper classes, so-called, grew their fingernails ridiculously long, so long in fact that often they would have special sheaths to protect the nails from accidental breakage. The purpose of the long nails was to show that the owner was so wealthy that he didn't have to do anything at all for himself. The long nails was proof positive of his inability to work, because the lady or gentleman of the house, the wearer of the long nails, could not even attend to his or her bodily needs and had to have servants to do everything for him. In Tibet, before the communist invasion, certain of the noblemen, who should have known better, wore sleeves so long that they completely covered the hands and dangled perhaps 6 or 12 inches below the fingertips. This was to show that these men were so important and so wealthy that they didn't have to work. The long, long sleeves were a constant reminder that they couldn't work. This, of course, was a degradation of the real purpose of work. Work was a form of discipline, a form of training. Discipline is utterly necessary. It is discipline which makes a difference between a crack regiment of soldiers and a disorganized rabble. It is discipline in the home which makes it possible for youngsters, teenagers, to be decent citizens when they are no longer teenagers. A lack of discipline makes for hordes of leather-jacketed young morons who are only bent on destruction. We mentioned Tibet as being one of the places where there were wrong ideas about work, but that is only among laymen. In the lamasseries it was a rule that everyone, no matter how exalted, had to do menial work at certain stated times. It was, before the communist invasion, no unusual sight to see a high abbot cleaning a floor, cleaning up rubbish deposited on the floor by the lowest of monks. The purpose of this was to teach the abbot that things upon the earth were things of a temporal nature, and the beggar of today might be the prince of tomorrow, and the prince of today might be a beggar tomorrow. Some point might possibly be drawn from the fact that many of the crowned heads of Europe and elsewhere are no longer kings and queens and princes ruling countries. But then one has to reflect that many of these former crowned heads and presidents have made very sure while they were still in power that they would have ample funds for when they were no longer in power. However, that is a digression. Let us state again that work, no matter what kind of work, whether menial or mental, is uplifting and never degrading when it is done with pure motives and with the idea of service to others behind it. Instead of applauding those gilded ladies who sit and autocratically dictate to ill-paid servants while not lifting a finger themselves, we should applaud the servants and look down upon the gilded ladies, for the servants are doing something honorable. The gilded ladies are not. We heard a discussion quite recently, a somewhat heated one, about meat eating. Our own point of view is that if a person wants to eat meat, then let them eat meat. If a person wants to be a vegetarian, climb trees after nuts, then let them be a vegetarian. And yes, let them climb trees after nuts. It doesn't matter what one eats or what one does not eat, so long as they do not inflict their often erroneous opinions upon others, who may be too polite to object violently. Man is an animal, no matter how much we disguise the fact with fine clothes and beautiful powders and hair dyes. Man and women are animals. Meat-eating animals, too. In fact, the flesh of mankind tastes, according to all reports, something like pork. Many people behave in a rather piggish manner, so possibly that's quite appropriate. Cannibals, when asked about human flesh, say that the black man's flesh is rather sweet and like roast pork. The white man's flesh is apparently rather rancid and sour, like a joint that has gone off. We suggest, then, that if you want to eat meat, do so. If you want to eat vegetables or grass, do so. But do not at any time inflict your own opinion on others. It's a sad fact that those who are vegetarians or health food addicts are often extreme in their views, as if, by the very vehemence of their argument, they will convince themselves. It seems to us very decidedly that many of these people whom we personally regard as cranks are uncertain that they are doing the right thing. They do not want to miss anything, but they do not want to be vegetarians themselves if they think that other people are enjoying meat. It is often the case with non-smokers. Non-smokers often resent greatly that another person does smoke. They seem to think that there's something exceedingly virtuous in not smoking. Actually, it's just a matter of choice. Smoking in moderation probably never hurt anyone, but drink, intoxicating liquors, does harm people because it interferes with their astral. We say in connection with this that, again, if a person wants to drink and injure their astral body, well, that's their choice. It is definitely wrong to try to use any forceful persuasion to change the path of another person. While we're on the subject of eating meat, etc., which entails killing, let us mention another point which you may find of interest. Some people say that one should never kill even an insect. They say one should never kill a cow or a horse or anything else which has life in it. It makes us wonder if we are doing a grave ill when we kill a mosquito which threatens to infect us with malaria. It makes us wonder if we're doing a crime against the living world, if we have an injection against any virus. After all, a microbe or a virus is a living organization. Should we, then, out of our sense of righteousness, stop trying to kill tuberculosis germs? Stop trying to kill cancer germs? Are we great sinners in trying to find a cure for the common cold? In trying to cure any illness, surely we're taking life. We have to be reasonable about all this. The vegetarians say that we should not take life. Now, a cabbage has life, so if we tear a cabbage from the ground in order that we may eat it, we're destroying life which we cannot create. If we take a potato or a stick of celery or anything else, we are destroying life. And as the vegetarian destroys life quite as much as the meat eater, why not let us be sensible and eat as the body needs? Meat? It is often stated that the good Buddhist does not eat meat, and we must hasten to agree that many Buddhists do not eat meat, and often the reason is that they can't afford it. Buddhism flourished exceedingly in very, very poor countries. In Tibet, for instance, meat was an unheard of luxury, which could be enjoyed only by the richest of the rich. The ordinary people had vegetable and sampa. The vegetables, too, were a luxury. The monk, who was not addicted to luxury, lived on sampa and nothing else. But to make it taste better, the leaders of the religion decreed that it was wrong to eat meat. Thus, people who could not get meat anyhow felt that they were being virtuous in not having meat. We feel that there is much nonsense written about all these things. The meat eater likes to have meat. Well, let him. If the vegetarian wants to chew a stick of celery, let him have his celery, as long as he does not inflict his view on others. In the same way, if a person does not want to kill an insect and prefers to have his cancer virus or his tuberculosis germs instead of trying to get cured, well, that is his choice. We often get letters from people in great distress who tell us that such and such a person is desperately in need of help, of advice, or how they can hypnotize a person or force a person to a different way of life. We never help in such cases because we believe that it is indeed very, very wrong to try to influence the path of another person. In this course, for instance, knowledge is available. We state our opinions, we state that which we know, but we do not try to force you to believe. If you are taking this course, then, presumably, you are prepared to listen to what we have to say. If you do not want to listen to us, it is an easy matter to close the book. If you're asked to give an opinion, give it, but do not try to force your opinion on another person. And having given your opinion, let the whole matter drop, because you do not know what the other person arranged as their path through life. If you're going to force a person to do something which they do not want to do, then you might be fixed with their karma. It might be an unpleasant karma, too. We want to say something here about animals. Many people regard animals merely as creatures who walk about on 4 legs instead of 2. People regard animals as dumb creatures because they don't speak English or French or German or Spanish. But then animals regard humans as dumb creatures also. If you were truly telepathic, you would find that animals do talk, and they talk far more intelligently than many humans. Some scientists, as reported in a recent edition of the Scientific American, have discovered that there is a language of bees. Bees can give very detailed instructions to each other, and they even hold conferences. Some scientists became interested in dolphins, in their peculiar speech, or, as they thought of it, in the peculiar sounds which they make. These sounds were recorded on a tape recorder and then reproduced at different speeds. At one speed, the speech sounded very, very much like human speech. Animals are entities which have come down to this earth in a special shape, in a special form, in order that they may do their own task in a manner most suitable for their own evolution. We are in the fortunate position of having been associated with 2 Siamese cats who were quite phenomenally telepathic, and with these, after much experience, it is possible to carry out conversations in much the same way as one can with intelligent humans. Sometimes it is not at all flattering to pick up the thoughts of how a Siamese cat regards a human. If one regards animals as our equals, who are in a different physical form, one can get very close to them. One can discuss with them things which otherwise would be impossible. A dog, for instance, likes the friendship of man. A dog likes to be subservient because then he gets praise and flattery. A Siamese cat, on the other hand, often has quite a contempt for humans because a human, compared to a Siamese cat, is a very handicapped person indeed. A Siamese cat has remarkable occult powers and remarkable telepathic powers. So, why not get on good terms with your own cat, or your dog, or your horse? If you want to, if you sincerely believe, then you can, with practice, converse by telepathy with that animal. And so we come to the end of this course, but we hope not the end of our association. This course is a practical course which we trust has shown you how absolutely ordinary, how absolutely simple all these so-called metaphysical phenomena really are. We have another course which deals with the subjects on the more traditional style, giving you Sanskrit names, etc. We suggest that it is very much to your advantage to consider this course, because now that you have studied this far with us, assuredly you will want to go further. We will not say goodbye then, because we hope that you will join us for a little longer. Let us say instead, in Spanish, hasta la vista. End of Lesson 30 and End of You Forever.